Oh
If you
yeah.
have just started a new job, but you're on probation still, are you able to get a mortgage in Canada? Well, with me, as always, I have Alex Lavender, a certified mortgage broker right here in Halifax, to help answer this question. So, Alex, why are lenders cautious about giving out mortgages when someone's on probation still?
When someone's on probation, it's really easy to be terminated from that employment. So lenders want to have the security knowing that, you're past that trial period and that this is something that's concrete and going to be there for the future.
Does that mean it's impossible to get a mortgage while you're on probation?
No, it is really exception based. Well, situationally based, let's say. So typically what happens is if you've been in the same industry, like here, you know what? I had someone in that was in last month. They worked for the car dealerships essentially as a manager, and they were with, X car company for 10 years. They moved over to their new employer. They were on a 3 month probation, and they made an offer on a house within the first month of their probation period. But they had tenure in the industry, and it was the exact same role with the exact same type of work. It was just changing employers. The lender had no issue giving that exception. Said no problem. They just waived the requirement for it. A lot of the times the probation period can be an issue if you're starting like a new job, like right out of school or in a brand new industry. So, for example, if that same person that worked at the car dealership decided to, uh, I don't know, become a truck driver, for example, just something completely different, then the lender may say, hey, you know what, maybe we want to know if this is the right field for them as it's a whole new role that they've never done before, and see if they have the ability to do it. So in that situation, it may be more difficult to get an exception.
And how long does the probation period typically last in Canada?
It varies by lender. Typically, we see 3 months. We can also see 6 months. We can see a year. But I would say, generally speaking, it's 3 months.
Wow. So if you had a probation period that was like 6 months or a year, do lenders does it make it hard to get it for that entire duration?
It can be. Yeah, it definitely can be. Again, it's really specific based on what the previous history was and whether you have any, history in the industry. So what some lenders may do, so let's say you're a student that just came out of school, either, this is your first job or you went back to school to change your credentials, and you've just started this job, you're 1 month into it, you've got a 3 month probation, you have an offer on a house. Sometimes what a lender may want to see is the closing date is 2 days after the end of the probation period. So what they'll do, which is kind of everyone's kind of on pins and needles until this date passes, but what they'll do is they'll call the employer 2 days before closing date, which is the end of the probation period, to confirm that you still work there and you're good standing and the probation is ended. So in some scenarios, we'll see the lender do that as an exception. But that definitely does put people in a bit of a risk position, and it's really important that you maintain the job during that time.
And what happens if you have your closing date set for a couple of days after your probation period ends and you end up getting let go? Are they going to revoke that mortgage pre-approval?
You'd probably be looking at an approval at that point because you'd be committed to purchasing the home, so it would be a closing date. Yeah, they could. There's a very good chance they would pull the approval, and that's kind of where that risk comes in, right? Maybe they'll make an exception out of good faith, but a lot of the times they won't because, in theory, you currently have no income to support that mortgage.
Does your employer always call, or does your lender or mortgage broker always call your employer before they actually approve you for a mortgage?
It depends. We typically don't call. Sometimes we'll reach out if there's a communication issue between the lender and the client's employer, but the lender will typically call. Some lenders do not call. Most lenders do, just because anyone could kind of create this document. So they are going to call this employment letter, verify the details, confirm that you still work there. And typically, especially when a probation period is in place, they're going to call that as well.
So if someone's on probation and they're going to come to you and they're going to say, Alex, you're a mortgage broker. I'd love to work with you and help get a mortgage. Are there any like additional documents they would need beyond someone who's just been working at the same place for 5 years? Like, are there any other, letters or anything like that that they need to show that, hey, I have steady employment?
Sometimes lenders will ask for previous employment history, such as 2 years of T4s, um, especially if they're concerned about the probation. They may try to average out that previous income just to ensure that it's similar to where the new income is going to be. So, yeah, sometimes we'll see T4s for 1 or 2 previous years requested by the lender as additional documentation.
Does having a larger down payment or a cosigner mitigate any of this risk from like a mortgage lender point of view if someone is on probation? Like, are they like, hey, I have I'm signing with my wife who has a stable, 10-year job for the government. Like, does that offset their own risk of saying, hey, I'm on probation still?
It could, but typically so we had a file about 3 months ago where a client was on probation, made an offer on a house, firmed up on it, and kind of in that the first, second month, I can't remember exactly when, maybe 6 weeks in, employer let them go. So they essentially didn't have employment anymore. So what we had to do was we had to see if it was possible to qualify using just the other partner's income, which it wasn't. So we had to do a combination of paying down a little bit of debt, increasing the down payment, and we were able to be fully reliant on the partner's income to qualify. So typically in those scenarios, they're not going to look at the additional applicants for strength when you're on probation. What they will try to do is see if we can just take out that income altogether and just qualify using maybe just one borrower or add a cosigner on there to qualify instead. So if they have serious concerns about the probation and they're not willing to proceed with an exception, then they will look at a cosigner to try and get the income higher or higher down payment to try and qualify without using that income at all.
Wow. Yeah, I had no idea that that was like so intricate the way you can kind of maneuver those things. I think from like my point of view, I think it just makes so much sense to work with a mortgage broker, someone like yourself who can help like actually walk you through all of those like steps and those nuances. So if you want to work with Alex, then use the link down below this video or go to alexlavender. And he's happy to help you. It's free of charge using a mortgage broker, and you get multiple options. So it's really fantastic. And if you have any questions on getting a mortgage in Canada, then let us know in the comments on this video. Subscribe to Alex Lavender on YouTube, and we'll see you in the next one.